Hey there, business owner. Welcome to the Entrepreneur Evolution Podcast. This is our weekly episode, and I'm so happy you are here. Let's get started. Welcome to this week's episode of the Entrepreneur Evolution Podcast. I'm your host, Annette Walter. I'm a business growth coach, operations strategist, and owner of two multi-million-dollar companies. This is the place where growth-minded entrepreneurs like you share their story, share what they are doing real time to survive and thrive in their business. Real talk, real tips, real business. Today, I'm really excited about our guest, Jason Hisley. He is the co-owner, along with his partner, Kelly Sokolis, of Cake. Cake by Jason is located in here in Baltimore, and they are just scratching the surface with their business. They're 3.5 years old, and man, if they just didn't survive one of the toughest years in their business, as a lot of you out there did. Jason's been featured on Food Network, Cake Wars, Cupcake Wars, Sweet Genius, Halloween Baking Championship, Cutthroat Kitchen, Cake Hunters, TheKnot.com, NBC, CBS, The Baltimore Sun, Baltimore Bride, Baltimore Magazine, and in Baltimore Fishbowl. He is beyond talented. And today we talk about what it's like being a creative entrepreneur, how to stay narrow in your product and your niche, and really what COVID looked like for them and how they are coming out of it as we really are marking our year coming through it and coming out of it. You're going to really enjoy this conversation and this interview. And in the show notes, you can see all of his competitions and follow him on Instagram. And also make sure you check out his product and order anything that's really special for any upcoming events at cakebyjason.com, cakebyjason.com. That's where you can find everything and anything on him, all the press, all the testimonials. I love his cake. Honestly, I do. He's done a couple of great celebrations for us. He celebrates the sweet life, and that's what it is all about for him, making wonderful experiences for our families and growing a business alongside of it. And before we get started, I really wanted to say thank you to everyone in our audience. You all have been a blessing. I'm grateful for every single one of you. I'm grateful for all the feedback. I'm grateful for when you share with me how these episodes and how these interviews and these express tips are really helping you in your day-to-day, in your business. I had someone reach out to me yesterday and they texted me and they said, I just listened to 3.5 hours of your podcast, Annette. Thank you. They are helping me so much. So I'm grateful for all of you. Please share, please subscribe, please write a review, whatever you know how to do in the podcast world. If you don't know how to do it, reach out to me and I'll share with you how to do that. But I really just wanted to say thank you. Also, our April Accelerator program is open, and this is a program that's really a sprint jumpstart program, and it's 4 weeks long, and we cover a lot of deep topics like confidence in your business, selling and closing, your operational audit, among other things, and you're going to really enjoy this program. If you'd like to sign up, I do have some spaces available. It's a 4-week jumpstart sprint with like-minded entrepreneurs like yourself. So I'll drop a call link in the show notes, and I'm not going to keep on talking anymore. Let's get started with Jason. Thanks for being here. Keep evolving, entrepreneur. I am so proud of you. Jason. Here he is. Jason, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me here. This is awesome.
I am so excited you are here. You are going to just wow this audience with your amazingness and your story and just everything about you. I just absolutely love. And it's just fabulous. So welcome, Jason Hisley. He is the co-founder and co-owner of Cake by Jason. His sidekick is Kelly Sokolis, and they are just amazing partners in crime. I don't know if you know much about Jason. You are certainly going to learn a lot about him today. He's been featured on Food Network, Cupcake Wars, my goodness, like NBC, CBS, the Baltimore Sun, the Baltimore Fishbowl, and most recently, Baltimore's Best of Baltimore Reader's Choice. And all of these amazing things are just happening around you. And you have like the sweetest product on the planet, which is amazing. So let's start, Jason, by you just sharing your story in your own words. Bring us up to date of how you got here. You could start, you could start from like birth, or you could start from post, college, whatever you want to do. I'll let you lead the way.
Yeah, no, luckily sugar has always been a huge part of my life since a little kid till now. So it did start when I was a little kid. I started baking just with my grandmother in the kitchen and my aunt, and I really evolved it from there into kind of something that I was passionate about, that was really cool and exciting and fun to me. It was like a little chemist mixing all these fun ingredients together and coming out with this amazing dessert or cake or whatever it was that a little kid wanted. From there, it just grew to really a true passion and something that I was like, I really want to pursue a career in this. And looking around, I went to Johnson & Wales and got a bachelor's degree in Baking and Pastry Arts from there. I went to Switzerland and studied in Switzerland. So I have a pastry certification from Switzerland. And then I came back to the States. And for me, what's really kind of propelled my career was doing Food Network shows. So back many years ago, I was a lot pant-sized, skinnier, and younger.
Weren't we all, right? We all kind of were.
I mean, we'll see, but it's getting bigger and bigger. But I did Cupcake Wars and came in first place for the first show I ever did. And that really just like launched everything for me. And again, that was about 10 years ago. So from there, I was working at a cupcake shop, and then I opened up a bakery, and I had two business partners there, and we were doing things like sandwiches and soups and salads and just more savory stuff too, in addition to custom cakes and cupcakes in a bakery, more kind of like a Panera Bread model, if that makes sense, with custom cakes thrown in there. So then I had that for about 6 years or 7 years. And it grew to actually 3 stores, 2 food trucks. Like, it was a pretty big empire as far as production. But I hated it. I couldn't stand being like a puppet master behind the scenes, not baking, not getting my hands really in the cakes anymore. So fast forward a little bit, and I'm doing some shows and stuff throughout this whole process. I meet Kelly, my business partner now with Cake by Jason. And she was my wedding coordinator at the time, at the previous company I had called La Cakery. We were just like, look, this is not the direction either one of us sees the wedding world. And she was really great at helping us build new clients and really expanding our demographic and market to DC and other areas where we could really tap into the cake side and the custom event side of the world. And we were just like, it's time. So I sold my interest in all of that, and then launched Cake by Jason with her 3.5 years ago or so now. I can't believe about 3.5 years ago now. And then from there, we really just focused on cakes, cupcakes, events, parties, weddings, and really just the sweet stuff. Unfortunately, La Cakery closed like within a year after I left. And here at Cake, though, we're thriving. Even through COVID and all the craziness, we're turning it around and, really doing well. And I couldn't be more thankful. So that's kind of the quick but long story.
Such a good story, and so much in there. I wanna rewind to the TV shows. Okay. So you go on your first show and you win it, in the #1 spot, which is just simply insane. So I don't know how much you can say, with kind of some of the contracts that you've signed. So I'll totally be respectful of that. But like, what is it like when you have to like pack up all of your stuff and actually perform in front of an audience? Like, just tell us a little bit about that and what that felt like.
Yeah. So, it's crazy when you're in your kitchen and you're baking, or we're here at the shop, where everything is, you work, you get done, you go home, easy. It's like, that's normal. But yeah, on set, it's completely different. They allow you to bring certain tools, just things that are like safety things, like the knives you like to use, etc. But then you're at the mercy of what they have in their kitchen. Okay. And we're talking equipment that's beat up, that's used, that other teams have used. And when you're in a show, like, people aren't caring if they're nice with stuff because it's not theirs. So long story short, yeah, it's hell. It's a little bit of a nightmare. It's a headache. And it's really stressful because you're mic'd up. There's 20 cameramen running around and people yelling all over the place. So it's definitely stressful, but I love it. Like, to me, it's that craziness. It's getting out of the kitchen a little bit and getting involved in something totally wild. So for me, it's really fun.
You're so good at it. I want to definitely drop those links, in the show notes below so that people can see that, because it's just so fun to watch, especially, with a lot of our Baltimore locals here. I know they'll just, if they haven't seen it, that they'll definitely want to check that out. So rewinding to your last chapter, you said we were kind of like a Panera and we just were offering so many things and you weren't happy,
Yeah.
right? And so it really took away from that narrow focus on what you love to do.
Yes.
So I just want to tell me a couple things that you learned from that. Were you adding the new things because they had different profit margins, or because the clientele wanted it, or because your partners wanted it? Like, because easily as entrepreneurs, our audience out there, you can simply add things and they aren't the right things to add, right? It's not the right strategy. And then all of a sudden you blink and you end up in the wrong strategy, which sounds like where you were. So help us learn more about that. Like what did it feel like and how did it happen?
Yeah, I mean, so some of it was, our numbers weren't as strong as they could have been. And we were, trying to be conscious. Okay, what are people looking for? It was a little combination of everything you said. Part of it was that my business partners, one of them, his vision for the company was a little bit different than mine. So we kind of bumped heads a little bit on that. Positively, we still tried to support each other's visions. But at the same time, when you have two people kind of working for it, they're both going to introduce both things instead of getting that focus. So, that was a little bit difficult. We also had a huge space. So justifying some of the room, and the location that we moved into already had a grill. So we had a grill cook on staff who was doing a savory menu. So there's a lot of personalities getting involved that were kind of clashing. And at the same time too, they had a little bit of the viewpoint of, okay, we need to increase our sales. We need to launch new things. And I was like, no, I think we should streamline, cut our costs, and limit the menu and focus. And it was just that kind of, and I think both things can sometimes work. Like, you can grow new products and try to sell more of those or different products. But the reality is that you're really taking on a lot of cost to do that. And unless you're at a huge level, where you really have thousands of people revolving through your doors, it just doesn't make sense. I really think, especially now and looking back, really streamlining and doing what you do best and doing it better than anybody else out there is always the win, is always the end goal.
Right, exactly. Because the moment that you don't have the avocado in inventory for the one person sandwich, then it's, an unhappy customer, right? So, right.
And waste is huge. We in the shop, when you walk into Cake by Jason, you can get a cupcake, a cake jar, or a cake off the shelves. Our waste is so minimal because we've gotten the numbers down to a science. If we even throw anything out, it's a handful of cupcakes, because we do bake fresh every single day. And it's not bread and sandwiches and, all kinds of other stuff going on that we're also wasting too. Yeah.
And, I love that you took that to the new business model, and that you really found the right business partner that you truly align with, and that you have really stayed so focused.
Yeah.
And that's where the growth can come from, when people know you simply for that and being the best at that, right?
Absolutely. And it's still, even though we do those few things, then it's a whole custom world for us too. And, that's where not only is it hugely profitable, it's where we can have bigger parties and events and get a bigger foothold, in Baltimore and all over the area. And it just allows, like you said, me and Kelly to get more creative and get more involved in kind of how we do our sales and what we're looking to sell and grow. So for us, it's been amazing. It's worked really well.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, and I know that you and I have had some of those conversations, even with having a highly focused product, right?
Yeah.
There's still different avenues that you can go. And it's important to make sure that you're taking those calculated risks, that they're staying in line with what you truly want, with what your passion is as partners in the business, right? And that's so important. I think we talked about, the Krispy Kreme model, getting the cake jars into like kind of every single little, boutique store in the area. And it's like, you know what? Like there's different avenues that you can go, but you just have to really weigh that from the client experience, the return on investment, what that does to your team and your inventory management and the daily production. One of the big things for you is the freshness. And that was one of the big things. You're like, I don't want my product out there and not be in control of it, right? Because it's you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the biggest things, for us, if we're dropping stuff off and they're keeping a cupcake for 6 days and saying, oh, these famous Cake by Jason cupcakes, $4, $5, whatever they're selling them for. And then, people are reselling at different prices and it can get messy, trying to do that kind of thing. But that just might not be the perfect fit for us. What's great about, like especially the advice that you've given and helped us grow and how you've kind of, mentored us in some of these different sales models is that the reality is sales, it's the same thing. It's like whether you're selling mattresses or cupcakes or lumber or anything,
right?
The world of the sale is similar. It's just, okay, well, which avenue do you take to sell your product or service or whatever? And it's been great working with you too to help kind of focus and streamline. And then think about ones we've never even thought about before and see if they're fit.
Right. And we've done a lot of great brainstorming behind the scenes. So I want to talk to you. I want to talk and ask you about this, being a creative entrepreneur. Okay. And being a very, a practitioner, right? A highly expert in exactly what you do. Okay. And a lot of our audience, they feel the same way. It's like, I am so hands-on with my product because that's what it is, and being creative, but at the same time, having to put on that business hat. So tell us about some of your personal struggles of how you manage your time, because you do it so well. And I know you work tirelessly. You work, Jason, honestly, your work ethic and your tenacity and your attention to detail and how much you work and dedicate to this business and to that product and that experience for the client is just, it's admirable. It's insane. So tell us a little bit about that, because we have a lot of creative hands-on practitioner entrepreneurs out there, whether it be, the dentist or the plumber that's, hands-on throughout the day or whatever it might be. So let's help the audience a little bit with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, a couple of huge things, and these are things in the past that I've just had to learn from mistake after mistake. Definitely always hire the people that you don't hire for the jobs you don't want to do and things that you really are not good at too. So for me, it's always been accounting, obviously legal, you have to have your attorney and accountant, but still relying heavily on them because that's just where I struggle completely. Social media and things that we think we can do by ourselves, but we're not an expert on, just hire the expert. It'll pay for itself if you find the right person and you have the right product to push or sell or service. So definitely lean on those professionals. And again, a lot of it, and you've even talked about this too, can be consult work. It's not something where you need a full-time person. You just have somebody who's doing it part-time or just helping. So that frees up a lot of time. Having those things taken care of really helps. But then for me, it's honestly just trying to find that day-to-day flow and groove where I force myself to do certain things at certain times of the day, and then I focus on something else. And when the time's up, that's when I move on to my next project. Really sticking true to your time management is important. Whether it's you got to lock yourself in a room and tell people don't bother me for an hour, or it's working with everyone and helping create and still be in that creative environment. And it gets difficult, especially we all take on big projects or we take on more than we can really handle because we want to push for more and get overwhelmed. But at the same time, I think you just kind of have to reel it back and then rely on your team or rely on the people that you bring around you to really help fill in with everything else, if that kind of helps or makes sense.
Absolutely. And that is just so good. Everything that you just said is simply just so good. And I know so many will relate to that. It's like, sometimes you just need to lock yourself in a room and say like, I just need this time. Right.
And some of the things too, it's like the biggest one I always tell people about is just social media. I mean, for 7 years, I was like, why the hell would I pay somebody to sit on Facebook or Instagram when we can post it? And then every day when I had to make posts, I was like, God, I don't have time to do this. Why am I doing it? But for 7 years, it was that back and forth. And then finally, when we launched Cake, we just said, screw it, hire someone. And I would never, ever go back to that. I would never do it myself ever again.
Right.
What we sell through our online social presence is tenfold what it costs to have someone take care of everything.
Right. But as you were making that decision and thinking about that investment, it's so scary, right? That growth is so scary. Like, how is it, I was actually talking about this morning with somebody. Is it the cart or the horse? Or is it the chicken or the egg? Like, is it, do I hire the help or do I need the business and the revenue to support it? It's a very hard thing to time.
And it's scary. Especially now coming out of COVID and things like this, businesses might not have a ton of capital to say, yeah, I want to throw, 10 grand at this or 15 or 20. But honestly, sometimes just a small loan, even if you need to go that route, or just taking that little bit of risk, like you said, do it smart, do it educated, do your homework. When we looked into the person that we hired, we did a lot of research into it, looked at other things they did. And then my biggest thing is always just get a referral. Like whenever we're thinking about hiring a professional or we want a new service or a product, I'm just like, tell me 3 people in the area that are similar to our business model that have used this service or product, and I'll call them. But don't if we're looking for a new POS, for example, don't tell me to call Target and ask about their POS, what their, how it works for them. Get me another local bakery or cake shop run by a small business or, 1 or 2 people, and let me call them and see how their experience relates. And that's for me what I do for anything, from buying like POS, using services or social media, finding people. That always works for me.
Right. Absolutely. I love that. I really love that. So, you and I right now are recording this at a very interesting time, because I think literally today's like March 10th, 2021. And basically this time last year was when COVID was a real thing and everything was shutting down. So I want to capture your 2020 self on this day. And then I want to capture your 2021 self right now. Like, what is the difference? How did you feel a year ago? Let's start there.
Well, I would be crying in the corner, wondering how we're going to pay bills over the next, however long it's going to take. I mean, really, the business the sad thing for us was our January and February were record breaking. Our sales last year were insane. We had come off a win from Food Network. I had just won Holiday Wars last year. And literally we were growing exponentially at a rate where we literally had no idea how we were going to keep up with the business, but also these numbers are just huge and we don't know what to do. It was just very scary, but good scary. And then it was like overnight, we had a mandate to close doors by Friday at, whatever time. And we're not sure when we're going to be able to open again. So on top of inventory management, and we have food laying around all over the place, we have to figure out what we're doing with our staff and just the terror. And for me and Kelly, we've always done this for ourselves, for sure. We want to grow the business. We have no goals of being like that stinky rich millionaire who's sitting at home while their business operates. We love being involved in the company and helping our people. And for us, the saddest thing was just like, what the hell how do we tell our people, how do we let these people go? How can we, we started, first thing we did was look up resources for them for unemployment. We're like, look, we have to close. This is going to happen. All of our printers, all of our computers here, you guys have access to. If you need to fill out forms online, a lot of them don't have stuff like that at home. So just helping with that became a really important part of it to us. And then, so it was scary. It was scary. And you feel like you're losing your family, and your baby, your business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was
like you just let them down, and it was so out of everyone's control.
Oh yeah. And for us, it was literally, you have to close your doors. There's nothing you can do. And it's like, oh, okay, cool.
was it just, I can only imagine how many weddings you had booked and events you had booked and right.
We're in an industry of people booking parties and events, over long periods of time. Last year, Kelly manages all of our weddings. And I know we had over 200 weddings booked for last summer. And literally for, I'd say the week that we were allowed to stay open as everything was closing down, all it was phone calls, cancellations, postponements. And we're talking, hundreds of thousands of dollars that we're projecting revenue for over the summer. So all of our numbers are now, let's just wipe that all clean. And it's also hard telling people, I know you're postponing it, or if people are just trying to flat out cancel things, we're like, they're dealing with okay, well, we have a deposit. It's technically not refundable, but this is like a catastrophe. We're in crisis. So we're trying to sympathize with all of these people. God, and brides are, you're in the most emotional state of your mind for sure.
Right.
And, we want to have sympathy, but still protect our business. It's
Right.
just like, it was all of that thrown in, and nothing like I've never dealt with this before. I've dealt with power outages. I've dealt with floods. I've dealt with a bakery that had a roof collapse on itself. I've
Right.
dealt with opening a store in 4 days and getting permits approved for it. Like, all of that does not prepare you for this.
No,
Yeah.
I agree. And you used a word. You just had said terror. It was terror.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
that I haven't ever used that word to describe it, but really, yes, that rewinding last time this year, it was like, it was terror and everybody.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, the only saving thing, the only thing was literally that, is that this is everyone. Like, for the first time, it was literally like everyone is getting affected. So there has to be something out there to help people. If there's no government assistance, or if there's no, ability to reopen to some capacity, or if there's none of this, everyone will fail. Everything will be affected.
Mhm.
And, again, that was the only, and I hate to say it because it was like, well, at least if everyone's suffering, then I'll suffer too. I hate saying it like that, but at the same time, it was the only, there was nothing else to really hold on to.
Exactly. No, I get
So,
exactly what you're saying. So
yeah.
let's fast forward right now to
Okay.
2021. Here we are, March, in Baltimore County. Things are opening at 100%. And here we are, right? So how are you doing? How are you feeling? What's it like right now?
Yeah. So luckily for us, I mean, right now we're doing incredibly well. I mean, again, we've regrown from COVID. For us, what our tagline is, celebrate the sweet life. Like, that's what we pride ourselves in. So for us, even throughout COVID, once we could open at smaller capacities, we were that place where people could leave COVID and
Mhm.
celebrate for a moment. It's like, your kid has a birthday party and you can't give them the, $1,000 crazy package party at some venue or something. We're at least able to help with that. So even though we were doing small things and it wasn't 100 people, we were able to really help people celebrate those moments, even when the rest of the world seems like it's falling apart. Something small can really brighten someone's day. So anyway, luckily we stayed pretty busy, and now that parties are getting bigger and things are opening back to capacity, the floodgates are opening. Everything that was canceled last year and everything that was postponed last year is getting rebooked now. We'll probably do 300 to 400 weddings, over the course of a true year,
Yes.
or a cycle year for us. So really for us, it's been insane, and growth has been great. And, a lot of it, we did get government assistance. So don't get me wrong, like the government PPP
Mhm.
money, call your banks. Like, I know they just launched some new ones. As they launch money, don't try to find it yourself. Call your bank or call your accountant, try to find out information, lean on those people you pay to make sure that, you get the information on hand. So, again, we had some help getting through it, but at the same time, it's just pushing through and making sure that, you still dedicated yourself to the product and what you're selling or your service. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and you and Kelly did a really good job of working on your business too, and investing in your business, and really changing and shifting and making sure that those client experiences,
Yeah.
COVID style, were real and amazing for them. And it's just where you are headed right now it gives me chills, because I just know, and it's like, okay, this is awesome. This is
Yeah.
awesome. But you took that time to do a lot of the harder work,
Yeah.
and a lot of the looking within, and a lot of the repositioning and restructuring, that sometimes we don't get the gift of doing, a lot of that. We don't get the time to do all of that. We don't get to really, do a lot of that team development and have some harder conversations, have some solid, productive conversations, which are great. So,
Yeah, and it's a great opportunity, not because it was a bad thing, but a great opportunity to work with your team too, and literally sit down and say, like, the hard conversations, we're struggling, like, we need help from everyone. Like, of course we're going to keep everyone on, and you don't want to, like, obviously make your employees fear for their jobs, but you can talk about the realities of certain things with them, and how this is what we need from you, and this is where we see your growth potential and what you can do, and how do you see yourself fitting into that and helping us get to these goals.
mhm.
And like you said, yeah, using the time to really figure out what it is that your business as a whole can do.
Where you're
Um,
going, right?
yeah,
Where you want to go.
yeah. And someone told me the other day, I forget exactly how it came about, but she was just saying, yeah, for what she does and how she operates, if she has a goal in mind and there's something that she wants the future to be, and you've kind of actually said this too before, but like, she's like, I just pretend like it's going to happen no matter what. It's there. It's already there. And you just have to make the work lead up to it and invest in it to make it happen. So
live it real, right?
exactly.
That's so good. Okay. All right. So I know you probably get this question all the time, but what is like one of like the most amazing cakes that you've ever done? One of your favorites? Can you share?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it's hard because like I always think about like the biggest and craziest versus like just like the coolest or weirdest. But I'd say my favorite one, because it was big and wild, was it was for a show called Cake Hunters. And we were doing a carnival inspired wedding cake for this couple, but it was like very casual and fun wedding. So long story short, it was like a giant, like probably 7-foot tall cake. It had like a big spinner ride in the middle with like lights that lit up and like cars that kind of like sat around the twister ride. Had a tunnel of love with like a little swan thing that like actually moved around the base.
Oh my goodness.
And then at the very top, we had like silhouettes of fire breathers, and you could actually light the top of it. And it had fire.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So that was just like the perfect culmination of like pyro and like that little inner kid wanting to set stuff on fire and lights and like just making an over the top cake. So that was probably one of my favorites.
Yes. Oh my goodness. That's a lot of fun. And it's really like you can, if someone comes to you and you can just really make anything out of I mean, you just are so talented.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. And it's an incredible team. Like we have an insane team of people here who with a ton of creativity and talent, you know, and it's great to lean on those people. But yeah, I mean, you can do anything with cake. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Well, and the cake itself is like insanely amazing and yummy and like just yum. Oh, love it. I love it all. I love it all. Well, good. So, okay. So I know we'll do a little video clip about this, but for those that may not know you, you have this signature mohawk and you also have your signature dogs. So tell us a little bit about how both of those kind of came about, and I'll just about the dogs and stuff because I love them all.
So it's funny, back when I first did my first Food Network show, literally what someone who was helping coach me through like getting on the show said was just personality and appearance. They were like, you just have to be funky, wild, you have to look different, and they don't taste anything before you go on the show. Like there is no like submit a cupcake to make sure it tastes good before you compete on Cupcake Wars. They were like, so hint, hint, they're only caring about your personality. And so anyway, that's where the Mohawk started. And 10 years later, I'll be 50 with this thing if I'm still doing shows because it was just one of those things that helped me stand out. But it was also like, I'm a little bit of a punk rock rebel child at heart. So that worked. And then, yeah, I have my babies. They're like my 2 chunky little English bulldogs that are the love of my life. And one of the reasons I do this every day too, so that I can go home and see them. And, you know, for me, like, it's just those, like, just having like the dogs to come home to, it's so silly, but it's like, first off, they love me because I always smell like sugar. So they always run up and just start chewing on my pants. And like, there's times when they're like eating my shoe and I'm like, what are you doing? And it's like, oh, there's chocolate all over it.
Right. They're licking the good stuff.
It's like, don't eat that. But it's but yeah, it's for me, it's just like, just the love of my life. One of the reasons I do all this, but yeah.
Well, and if they want to see more, I know you have the Instagram account for cake, but also your personal Instagram. So do you want to share both of those right now while we have the chance?
Yeah, sure. So our Instagram for cake is Cake by Jason. And then mine is just Jason Hisley. Okay. And then so like mine, it's mostly dogs and and it's funny, a lot of customers who come in, they'll know my dogs before they know anything about me personally. They're like, oh, are the dogs here? And I'm like, no, we don't have them in the bakery, unfortunately.
Sorry about that.
The health department thing and that we can't. But yeah, so that, you know, you can check out mine, and then cake, we post all of our cakes. So you get to see all the crazy fun stuff we're making and producing in the shop. So, and some behind the scenes. And then of course we're on Facebook, same thing, Cake by Jason.
It's awesome. It's awesome. So any big asks out there to the universe? I know that you have like so many amazing things happening for around like different holidays and different birthdays and celebrations and weddings, but like, what can we help you with? Like, what can this audience help you with? What's the big ask? How can we support you?
For this year, it's really for us about focusing and streamlining on what we do best, but then growing it into that next step, figuring out, okay, where is that next avenue? There's some stuff that we're kind of working on behind the scenes. So, we can't really talk about everything until we get it all sorted out. But for us, it's really just, it's allowing us to get back to where we were, which we are doing, but still growing it in a way that makes sense, that's smart, and where we can have a little bit of personal life too, and take care of our team at the same time. So it's not a huge, and I've told you this before about me. It's probably one of my flaws too, is that like finding that one thing can be hard, but it's really about growing the whole company for our team, and making it something special for everyone. So
I love it. I love it. So just, celebrate and eat cake. How about that? Right?
I love it. And do some more shows.
That's right. Yes. More shows are in your future. Like, we need to see more of you. I love all of this.
Yeah.
Right. So before we end, I want to share anything that kind of keeps you motivated. Like, do you have a personal motto or anything like that just is your go-to when you're having that down day or whatever? What picks you up again? What keeps you going? Is there any kind of thing that you say to yourself or keep motto?
Yeah. So honestly, again, I said it before, but our tagline is celebrate the sweet life. It is literally like our lifeblood here. For me, the craziest thing is that most people don't come in just and get a cupcake and they're just like, I just want a cupcake and I'm eating it. There's those people, but most of them, it's some kind of celebration. It's a kid's first birthday. It's a small little bridal shower. It's whatever it is. So for me, I always have to remind myself and humble myself that for someone to say like, hey, it's my kid's first birthday and I want you to make something for it and be involved in my family and this milestone, achievement in their life.
Yes.
So humbling that like all the other crap that comes along with the business, it stops. And we're talking about hundreds of these celebrations a day. So the fact that people allow us to get involved in their life for all of these things, that's what really brings me back to reality. It's like, you know what, regardless of the mess, the headache, the books, all this other crap that I'm dealing with, like, we just helped all these people. Like, you can't not feel good about it.
So great. That's my heart feels warm. That's really great.
Good.
I love it. I love it. And you've been a big part of our life and our family and a lot of our celebrations. And it really, when you see the look on your child's face, when they see the cake that they kind of dreamed of in their minds, it's just such a cool thing.
Oh yeah. My favorite thing is standing in the back when people are picking up cakes and just seeing their expressions and just knowing when people are like, even through masks, you can see smiles. So it's like,
I know. You can see like the eyes light up, right?
Exactly. So it's just so great. It's so great to do that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you have to send me all the links that we can drop in the show notes of this stuff. And then we'll put all that there. But Jason, you are amazing. Kelly is amazing. Your team is amazing. Your cakes and cupcakes and everything are just simply amazing. And you all are just getting started. And I know it. And I just am so pumped for you and your growth and where you all are headed. So congratulations. Thanks for being here today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. I'll see you soon.
All right. See you soon.
Bye. Wow. What an episode. Did you learn something new? I hope so. I am so happy you were able to be here with us today. I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a review and I will be sure to read it and respond to you. Also, if you'd like to email me, my email address is yourock@iEvolveConsulting.com. Hit subscribe, and every Tuesday you'll get notification when the next episode drops. We really have some amazing interviews and tips in the future. Anything you need, I'm here for you. I want you to keep your momentum. I want to help you stay accountable. I want you to stay inspired. I want you to evolve. So please let me know what you need, and I'd love to hear from you. Take care until next time.